So confused. We'll get it yet. It's only
anyway,
been 6 years.
That's right. Of course, Two Bald Guys and microphone brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, www.mchenrymassage.com. Give them a call at 815-385-8190. Acupuncture, Thai yoga massage, deep tissue, sports, relaxing, couple massages, you name it, hot stone therapy. They've got it. The best in the Fox Valley area. Give John and his team a call. Of course, on the other side of things, once you are nice and relaxed, run over to JH Events and Flowers and grab yourself a nice bouquet of flowers to liven up any room. That's interesting. I said that because they're actually dead because they're cut. But anyway, they're dying. Anyway, great stuff over at JH Events and Flowers. And remember, $5 Fridays. If you want to just spruce up the weekend just a tad, of course, run over there for only $5. Get a fresh cut bouquet of flowers. Say you heard it right here, 216 The Net. And our good friend at Tom's Productions will take care of that bill for you.
Yes, they will.
Good stuff. Today, Coach, we are talking about lessons learned from the bench because a lot of times, coaches and people who sit on the bench learn more lessons than the people actually playing. We just came out of the 4th of July. Good Independence Day weekend for you.
We did. I set out to go on a long bike ride, and it was cut a little bit short by a flat tire. I made it 19 miles, but gave my wife an opportunity to come down and pick me up. Interesting though, I was walking my bike. I was coming across the tracks in Crystal Lake, right there by Veterans Park, and I went a little bit too fast and popped the back tire. So I'm walking the bike along the sidewalk up towards Veterans Park, where my wife's going to meet me, and a lady pulled over to the side of the road, rolled her window down, and said, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And I'm like, "Thank you very much, but no, my wife is on the way. I appreciate the offer." Well, while she was stopped, guy in a Jeep honking at her like, what are you doing? Stop. I got 2 lanes. She wasn't slowing anything down. Guy just being a jerk, right? So I get up to the park. I set it down. I take the wheels off the bike so it's ready to go in the back of the car when she gets there. Another guy walks over. "Everything okay? Can I give you a hand?" He goes, "I normally have all my tools to repair anything that goes wrong with a bike." But he says, "I got my wife's car. We're out celebrating the 4th. I said, "No, I'm fine. My wife's on the way." But just gave me a faith again in humanity. It was a good day. Of course, the one guy who told me, "If you need anything, give me a call and I'll come pick you up," didn't answer the phone.
Yeah, I know. The funny thing, did you call?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
What time was it?
I don't know. It's probably around 2.
Oh, yeah, we were in Gurney.
Yeah, you're already gone, but I said, if you listen to your voice message,
I'm gonna have to. No, I didn't even notice that you called. That's great. Oh, yep, there you are. 120. Yeah. All right.
And anyway, it was a great day. It was nice and quiet.
What a great
stayed home. Granddaughter is sticking around for 3 weeks, working out at the stable on McCullum Lake Road, and she loves horses. I mean, she just goes nuts when she's around the horse. And she called and she said, "I'm going to stay a little later so we can keep the horses calmed while the fireworks are going off."
So, what a good
sweet kid.
Yeah, what a good kid.
How about you?
Great, quiet, laid back. We did nothing. Actually, on Saturday, it's funny. Saturday we work all day on the lid, what I call the lid. Diggs, BT Dub, how are you? What's up? Jen, how are you? Good morning. Glad to have you with us. So Lucy is down at Jen's house hanging out with Mia on I think it was Saturday, and so Alice and I are working on the lid, the cover of our patio, and we're exhausted. And we're like, hey, let's run out. And she says, let's run over to Nico's. Shout out to Nico's in McHenry, or in Woodstock rather. And so it kind of rained. Don, good morning. Kind of rained off and on during the morning, and then we didn't have rain for quite some time. And so we jumped on the bike and headed to Woodstock. And beautiful ride over there on the bike. 82, 83 degrees. It was just a beautiful night for a ride. We sit down. It's about 7:30. And we're sitting out on the patio enjoying some nachos, because Alice and I are nacho snobs. We enjoy nachos. And it starts to sprinkle. Alice checks her phone and says, oh, we're going to get nailed. And we're on the bike. And I'm like, oh. And so I'm like, it'll pass. It'll blow over. Those are my favorite words. No. It'll blow over. So then I look at my radar. I don't see anything. I said, see, it's blowing over. And then here comes the rain. So we jump on the bike, and it's about an 8-mile ride, right, to Woodstock or whatever, and so the cell got worse coming into McHenry. So here we are cruising on the bike. She's on the back. We're just getting bathed. We're cruising. And there are times where, like, we have to be in the yellow part of this now. The rain was coming down sideways. People are looking at us like, oh, where if we were in the truck, we would have been like, look at those idiots. Didn't they, and we're just laughing and it was such a great adventure. We are in a downpour on 2 wheels. We're on Boulevard. There's no place to pull over for shelter. And Alice is like, I guess we're not too old to have an adventure. I was like, yeah, absolutely not. And we were just soaked from head to toe. It was funny. We got home safe. It was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome blossom.
Long story but it was fun and funny, and we posted some pictures online. Time to reboot. So let's look at the reboot.
Well, the R in reboot is about recognize. We can't make any changes in life without recognizing the need to make a change.
That's right.
The E is
educate. Learn as much as you can. Dig in by watching people, not necessarily reading books, but watching people, history, learning from history, those type of things. Just educate yourself on it.
Around that change. The B in reboot is about believe, and we have an entire segment on believe a little bit later on. But you've got to believe that you're doing the right thing. If you don't believe it and you're just out there going through the motions, it's not going to be amazing.
Yeah. No, actually, Don, my bike has a nice phone carrier, leather phone carrier right on the tank. So, no damage. Yeah, to the phone.
It's sad when our whole focus is the electronics.
The hashtag pocket computer.
Yeah, Don. Thanks a lot for thinking of the phone before Kent and Alice. Oh, my goodness. The first O in reboot is
operating system. You've got one, and it's programmed, and it's been wired and programmed for quite some time. But you've got to find a way to maybe enhance or tweak the programming just a little bit.
Just a little bit. The second O is orchestrate. Orchestrate. You've got to take command of your life. When you think of the conductor of an orchestra, he's there to entertain the audience, but he turns his back to the audience and he focuses on his team. And, when the team does well at the end of the performance, he gives them the credit and steps out of the way. And that's simple leadership. But learning to take leadership of your own life is a big deal. And that's a message we sometimes meet. And the T is
test. You got to try. Jump in, be ambitious, and learn from your wins and losses, and there aren't any losses. It's education, right?
Yeah,
that's just a good way to look at it. Sorry, pocket computer. Coach. I see Kent on YouTube, so can see he's okay. As okay as he can be. Yeah.
Well, you can't see Alice. I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
we're all concerned about Alice. I mean,
Yeah.
just from the fact she puts up with this guy on a daily
That's right.
basis.
That's right.
So, and
So lessons learned from the bench. What this whole segment about, what this show's about is, we always hear of the great stories from the athletes, from the business people, the people who've been in the grind. Sometimes the best lessons you can learn in life are by sitting on the bench and just being still, silent, and observing
and paying attention. One of the things I always challenge my athletes to do is to focus on the person, because you know who you're going in for, especially on the soccer field. It's a little bit bigger. Basketball is a little different, but you know who you're going in for. Focus on him while you're sitting here on the bench, so that when you step in the game, you know what the opponents in your area of responsibility are doing. If you're sitting there, I had this kid, we'll just call him Mac. We're at a playoff game over in Oregon, Illinois, or Wisconsin, way out there. And we're there, and we've gotten to the point where I need to get some subs. And I call it, hey, Mac, I need you to go in. I turn around, and Mac's not there. I look at the guys and go, where's Mac? You're going to love this. He went to the concession stand to get nachos.
My guy.
From the bench. When he came walking back with his nachos with the cheese on it, I just looked at him. I've never had that happen in any sport I've ever coached. A kid just gets off the bench and walks to the concession stand. I was hungry, coach.
Yeah, maybe some
well,
nachos.
Teenage boy, good. I hope you don't puke when you get on the field. Let's get out there.
Did you finish the nachos?
I'm allergic to dairy.
Oh, so. That's right. That's right. That's just great. These weekends are great weekends for the people, and there's a ton of you out there listening right now who are like myself. Is one of my favorite pastimes is just people watching. Yeah. Right? I mean, people go bird watching, people go whale watching. Some of the most phenomenal stories, some of the most phenomenal lessons I've learned is just people.
It's creepy when you're taking pictures of them, though.
People watching. This weekend, I learned that that every kid, every child has an inner rebel in them, right? And an inner rebel that's like Fonzie, cool. Yeah, where's Mac now? Shayna says, entrepreneur, perhaps.
He is an entrepreneur. He's he opened his own little business. I forget what he's doing, but at 19, and he's that guy. Yeah, he's an independent thinker.
There you go. So yesterday, I'm spending some time here at the station doing some back end work and production and laying out kind of a game plan here for the next 4 weeks. And it's right about close to noon yesterday when I leave, and I pop out, and in front of our studio, the Tunyon building here, is a nice parking lot. And so I lock the door and I get on my bike, and I hear this kid just screaming bloody murder. And I look over and it's a young couple, and this little fella must be 2.5 or 3 years old, right? And mom's over there like in the shade, like, come on, calm down. The kid was screaming bloody murder. So in the car, I imagine dad's sitting in the car, young couple, and they're not even 30, right? And they got this young kid. So I'm like, I didn't know, maybe the kid was overheated. There's a lot going on. Mom and dad probably have had him at parades, going everywhere. And it was hot yesterday. And so I just say, hey, do you want to use the air conditioning? You want to come inside and, use the air conditioning? No, we're fine. And mom's like, oh my gosh, she's trying to get the kid to calm down. Well, then dad gets out of the car. There's another little one in the car just chilling, and dad gets out, and he's, squatting down with the little guy. And so I go, okay, and so I turn my bike on, and then I hit the horn. Meep, meep. because those motorcycles always have those big meep, 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 meep. And the kid looks over, and then I start up the bike, and he just gets quiet and looks and points. And I'm like, there you go, buddy. Right? So I'm just sitting there revving it up. Beep, beep. The kid is just like, this is great. And the mom's like, thank you so much. So then when I left again, and away we went. And I said, everybody's got a biker inside of them. Everybody's got that Fonzie rebel that wants to go, that's cool. Right. And so in my observation or from the bench, lesson learned is, everybody has a little bit of rebel in them. That's not a bad thing. That is like, yeah, I like that. Let's get that Fonzie out.
Did any of your kids have the temper tantrums when they were little in
the
stores? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Spencer, absolutely. Yeah, Spencer had one, and I turned around, took him out, set him in the car. I said, "You'll never go into a store acting like that again." There's Ashley. So yeah, all the kids have. Yeah.
So could you put yourself in that parent's spot?
Yeah.
You've been there, and when someone can do something to appease that child,
yeah, they were very thankful. Cute little kid, but it was just as soon as I hit the meep meep, he just stopped. I mean, the tantrum, the stiffness just stopped and looked, and then I fired it up.
We call that pattern interrupt. You interrupted their pattern. How many times have they had to do similar things with them? The fact that they pulled into this kind of obscure parking lot to do that tells me that they've done this before.
That was that little boy was hot.
Don't make me come back there.
Yeah. So and then coming in this morning, just turn on a quick show, and a couple of people were like, oh, we were downtown Chicago, love people watching. There was a dog on a what are those
skateboard?
No, it was a paddleboard with a life jacket on. Oh, it's cute. So cute, you're just like, all right. So I think so many people learn lessons from just people watching.
Well, and there's a lot we could learn and a lot of mistakes we could avoid if we would pay a little bit more attention to those around us.
Yeah, one of the biggest lessons that I've taken away from being a manager, from being a coach, from doing a lot of things is, gold medals aren't made of gold, right? They're made of the sweat, determination, hard to find, just guts, right? And for all the best teams that I've been on, you've kind of known from the week or the quarter, preparation.
Yeah.
Not in game, that you've just known this is going to be a good quarter. This is going to be a good game. This, and sure enough, their minds are right and things are right. And it was effortless. But it was because of all the hard work. It was because of all the preparation, the teamwork that was put in, before the actual game, if that makes sense.
Well, no, absolutely. And the one thing that I noticed between coaching boys and girls, boys kind of understand the hierarchy. They know why the starting five are the starting five, and they know where they fit in that role. And when they're called on, they can come in and go in off the bench and normally perform pretty well because they get used to that. In coaching girls, it was never quite like that. It was like they just want playing time. They don't really care as much about the victory or owning others. I was coaching a sixth grade boys team one time, and we had been basically undefeated. We had lost one game early in the season, and we're coming into the tournament, and I worked on really equal playing time for these guys. They're in sixth grade. Everybody deserves to play. Well, at one point, the underlings, for lack of a better term, were on the court, and the other team was catching us. And one of the boys calls timeout. I'm like, what would you call timeout for? He's like, Coach, get the other guys on the floor. We want to win this tournament. This is sixth grade boys. And I just looked at him with are you sure? And I looked at the whole five of them. They're like, yeah, let's, get these guys back on. And we went back on, and they were a little cold when they came on, and the team got within 2 points of us. And then they warmed back up. We wound up winning the tournament handily, but it was one of those things that, in this case, the kid's name was Josh. Lessons learned from the bench. He learned that there's a reason those guys were the starting five.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us right into the time where we have to do a little brain training.
We're just going to talk a few minutes about a couple of things that have been going on, but I'm working with there's a couple here around here without giving any names, but they're both husband and wife are both police chiefs. And I've been working with them, giving them information on how this can affect law enforcement to make better decisions. But they're like, how about our family? So last week I went and said they have two of the most amazing little boys, and I went through the program. The boys are, I want to say, 11 and 13. And went over and did the training at their house for them. And it was interesting watching the dynamics change right in front of me as they became part of the brain training. Is when you do it together as a team, whether it's a basketball team, a family team, a law enforcement squad, is watching people come to sync as they're brain training together. And the communication from when I first got there to when I left had changed. And they have their second session tonight. So I'm looking forward to working with the family. I got another individual who I started working with because of traumatic brain injury a year and a half ago. And him and his wife, after his traumatic brain injury, things just weren't working very well for him. And him and his wife were kind of drifting apart. Well, he went through he's been through 5 sessions of it. His thinking, his brain function has improved. But he's got his wife doing it with him now. And I talked to him yesterday on the 4th of July, and he said, we're starting to come into sync. He says, I want to bring together a bunch of my friends, married friends. I think from a relationship building standpoint, you've got a gold mine here. And I was like, it's not an avenue I had looked at, but when a husband and wife can get on the same wavelength, scary good things can happen.
Yeah. A lot, yeah.
So just a couple of things. My daughter-in-law has been up for the last couple of days, and she asked me to stop humming or singing. I could while away the hours. She's like, well, if I only had a brain. Well, we've all got a brain, and through this training, we can bring everything. We get the brain working again, and so many of us. And there are times where I just look at myself and go, "Did you really just do that?" I'm sure it never happens to you.
No, all the time. Yeah, they're open mouth, insert foot. And
we call that a bilabial petatarsal insertion.
There you go. I'm not sure what you just said.
Bilabial petatarsal, your foot. Anyway,
if people want to learn more about what you do, in the Kennedy method, how do they get in touch with you?
The website is still under construction, so just reach out to me at tim@coachpapa.com.
Tim at coachpapa.com.
COACHPAPA. Some people put 2 P's in Papa.
Well, there are PAP.
Yeah, but I mean PAPPA.
Oh, no, there's not. Papa.
It's Papa, PAPA. CoachPapa.com.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
another lesson learned from the bench, of course, is an open window and a good box fan can change an entire evening.
It certainly can. But where did you learn that lesson?
Well, we've got a beautiful backyard, and we've got a great patio, and now we put the lid over it. Is what I call the lid. This thing is huge, and so it's covered. The bar area is covered, the patio is covered, everything is covered, and it was here in Illinois. It was a warm weekend, but we don't have the ceiling fans up yet. But a box fan, you put it out there, and the air moves. And I just thought back to when I was a kid. We didn't have central air. Right. There was no such thing as central air. And if you had a window air conditioner, everybody got in that room. You closed the doors.
Ours was in the dining room.
Right. And but it could be 100 degrees out with 98% humidity. You pop the windows open, you'd figure out which window the breeze was coming, so you put the fan in that window or you blew out. Depends what room you were in the house.
Right.
Right.
Let's get that airflow.
And it changed the whole breadth of life in the house at that time. And now we've got central air, and we've forgotten that minor adjustments to something and to get air moving, right? So I think in life, the lesson learned from the bench is, an open window and a box fan creates new life. It creates hope. It creates the ability to say things aren't as bad because I'm not just sitting in a hot mess, right? The air is moving and it feels good. I spent most of the weekend outside, sitting underneath the lid, as I call it, just listening to music and watching the corn grow.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful, wonderful weekend. But if that air wasn't moving, whether it's a slight breeze, whether it's anything of that nature, you sometimes get miserable. So it tells me, lessons learned from the bench tells me that things have to be moving in your life. If you are stale and stagnant, no change can happen, right? And there's nothing new that you can experience. So a simple open window and a box fan creates opportunity, creates hope, creates a new feel for maybe some place you've been stuck for a while.
Oh yeah, there's when I'm out riding yesterday, and when you're moving, the air is blowing by you. It doesn't feel that it's that hot out. When you stop and you have to either walk your bike or carry your bike for a while.
Oh yeah.
So the lesson I learned is bring your inner tube with you.
Always have an extra tube. Absolutely. And I think that's huge, right? So in life, you can be cruising without very much effort. You got a good bike, you just and you can get in that zone. But then you pop a tire and you're still moving. You're moving differently. And carrying a load.
Well, and then you have to go through your troubleshooting process. Do I really want to call my wife and admit that I had a flat tire? Yes, dear. Yes, dear. I called her about halfway into the ride. She goes, "How far are you going today?" And I said, I think I'll go 50 miles. And she pretty much unloaded on me.
Yeah, I did.
As a cardiac rehab nurse should.
92-degree weather. Yeah.
16 weeks after.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's true, right? And so often in life, as is life, is we're cruising along pretty good. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we have to pick up our bike and carry it, or pick up a loved one or
whatever.
Yeah. Years ago we used to say, the opening was, things go wrong as they sometimes will, right?
The road you're trudging seems all uphill.
You can always, and here's an issue that I have a lot from lessons learned on the bench is, as a coach, as a player, we had a game plan. And it wasn't to plan for the best and hope for the worst, or whatever it is. Hope for the best and plan for the worst. We planned for the best. We planned for the best outcome. Right. And so often, hey Gary, good morning. Glad to have you with us all the way from Singapore. Hope you had a great 5th of July. Love seeing you, brother. So a lesson learned from the bench is put a game plan in to win, not a game plan into survive or figure out the bumps.
Well, it depends on where you're at in life, but I appreciate what you're saying. If everything is going well and and your income's fine and your retirement plan's fine, then yeah, you can plan for amazing things. But all of a sudden things happen and all that goes away. Now you have to get into survival mode. And when you get into survival mode, a lot of times you forget to plan your way out of it because you get so stuck on where's the next meal coming from, or where's the next tank of gas coming from. But the truth is, the way to get those things, as you said, is to get back into planning for success. Mike Tyson, you don't look at Mike Tyson for a lot of great quotes, but the one that he had was everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Nate Meadows, how are you? Nate says, always expect things to go wrong. So he does. He always expects things to go wrong. When they go right, it's exciting. And when it goes wrong, it's not as disappointing.
Well, but you see, I am just the opposite of that. I do expect things to go right. And in my better 2/3 is the flip side. She always expect things to go wrong. And she says, well, I'm just being a realist. And a lot of times that in itself can hold you back. But you have to be prepared for whatever life throws your way. But in the process, you have to go for the gold. Otherwise, why are we here? We just survive until we die. I mean, this recent experience I just went through with the cardiac, I found out I needed a quadruple bypass. Well, coming into the quadruple bypass discovery, I was, things are starting to move well. The brain training's starting to go well. Things are starting to move in the right direction. All of a sudden, I need a bypass. My wife's I love her dearly. First place she went was, let's make sure we have all our paperwork in order. Let's make sure the will, and the paperwork. I need all the passwords. I said, so I'm going to die. Oh, no, you're not going to die. He says, well, you're planning for me to die. I said, I'm not doing any of that until after the surgery. She said, oh, no, you have. I'm not doing it. and it's all pretty much taken care of. But right. I said, I'm not going into this thinking I'm going to die. Could something happen? Yeah, something's going to happen. At some point, we're all going to check out. But not today.
Yeah, my time ain't now.
Right.
And Gary says it beats planning for the best and hoping for the worst. So I think, as to jump on that is, if we're expecting things to go wrong, and then we're excited when they go right, we're running life under somebody else's definition of success.
Yeah.
Right. So what is success? There are times as an athletic coach where I'm like, if we can lose by 20, that's a win, because this team's really good, right? If we can play our best and lose by 20, that's a big win. If we got slaughtered by a team and we come in and we put a game plan to win, right?
Yep.
And if we win, awesome. If we get better than we did, right? So it's not that I expect to lose, but at the end of that game, if instead of losing by 20, we lost by 6, then I tell the team, great victory, right?
At one point during my girls' season up at Wilmot, the team that we were playing came in just knowing, oh, this is an easy win. We're gonna walk away with this team. At halftime, we're tied 2-2, and my girls are just playing amazingly well because their girls came in way overconfident. This coach took his girls and where we could see him, and he is yelling at the top of his voice. And one of the things he said to him, I cannot believe you're allowing a team like this to be tied with you going in. Absolutely destroyed those girls morally coming in. And we wound up winning the game because the coach just absolutely, they came in overconfident. They weren't ready. My girls just came out and they were having fun. And, at the end of the day, we talked about it. They've got a great winning record. So I'm thinking about changing places with that coach. Would you like to have that coach instead of me? Mm-hmm. And the girls are like, we will kill you. They will never find your body if you were to do something like that.
Right. And I think that's a huge lesson to learn from the bench is, success maybe for a bench player is to never get in a game.
There's truth to that.
You know what I mean? Is I want to grind out every day in practice. I want to get better. I want to be part of this team, but don't ever put me on that floor.
I've had athletes like that in the past, and I didn't understand it because I always wanted to be in the starter. I always wanted to be in starter role, and it's like, don't not right now, coach. Maybe next game. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you take a look at any corporation. That corporation works because of the people who never want to get into management. I work in banking, so let's take banking. How many times have I heard, "Oh, I'm just a teller"?
Yeah.
Well, you're the face. You're the person who knows people that know that their kids are graduating. And I know individuals who've been just a teller for 30 plus years, and it's awesome. But if you were to say, "Hey, we want you to be a teller supervisor," they go, "Oh no, thank you." Right? How many bankers are there that make a good life out of being a banker? They never want to get into management, and that's okay. They don't. So for some of us who are like, the game is at the C-suite, or the game is at mid management. These people are like, I'll stay on the bench. I don't need that headache. I enjoy coming to work. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy going home. Done. How many people in manufacturing? You've run manufacturing companies. If it wasn't for the people on the line, what do you got?
Well,
but those people are like, I don't want your job.
Abraham Lincoln said it best on the death of a private when he was talking to the parents. He said, "I wish he had been a general. I can make more of them." When the general understands he has a job because of the privates, the general becomes a better general. When the manager thinks that he's there to please the people, we lose him. One of the things that gets me crazy, I always ask people what they do, after a little bit of conversation. So what do you do? Is the ones that will say, "Oh, I'm just a housewife." I'm like, are you serious? Just a housewife? You're the one who keeps the whole family together. You're the one who,
I'm just
Don
says, I really feel bad when anyone says I'm just. Yeah, it's so true. So true. Have a little better outlook. Hey, Tony the Kid. Good morning, fellas.
Morning,
Hope you guys had a good 4th. Yeah, Independence Day was a good weekend. Weird weekend. I had to work on Monday, so there's that breakup.
Well, this is the second Monday this week. That's
yeah, it is. Shana says participation trophies were the beginning of the end. We robbed kids the opportunity to gain those secondary wins. Expectation and lack of coping skills are a direct result. Why do we think that was a good idea, Coach?
That's a great question, because
I'll tell you exactly why. And
tell us why.
And this is a lesson learned from the bench as well, Shana, is everyone deserves the spotlight at some point in their life,
right?
At some point in a season. Okay. And here's what I mean. Not everybody can be the star player. Participation trophies took the idea that everybody deserves the spotlight to everybody deserves to be the MVP. Okay. Yeah. Now, what I say when everybody deserves the spotlight, back in 1987, I was a member of Burlington Community High School basketball team who won the state championship. Okay. I played a lot at the beginning of the season, ended up getting a little bit of an injury. And then I sat out for some time. We went to state, and I never played a second, not 1 second, but my spotlight came earlier in the season. My spotlight came when I was on the back of that fire truck on the parade through this town because we had won the state championship. I was interviewed on the radio, right? So everybody deserves the spotlight. Now, some people are going to deserve the spotlight for blooper reel. So some people are going to deserve.
We've had a few of those,
right? Somebody's going to deserve the spotlight because they're going to get mentioned in an article about how hard they grinded, and their dedication to the team, or how well they did statistics, or whatever the case may be. And instead of the individual searching out where the spotlight was for them to hit.
Mm-hmm.
We just gave it to them. And that's where I think participation trophies went wrong. And I think some parents out there felt that it was a good idea because my little Johnny, Timmy, needs the spotlight. They need to feel like they've accomplished something. Well, you can accomplish things not being the star, not being the CEO, not being, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And we have to allow people the understanding that, yeah, hey, great job for being here, but you're not the MVP. Right?
My worst night of the year, every year when I'm coaching, is awards night. When I have to tell one athlete that they're not as good as another athlete. And even though I've always allowed the athletes to vote for the awards, it still is always left that, when you're trying to build a team and then certain individuals, and it's not always the MVP. The MVP is normally a clear choice. It's the most improved. It's the the coach's award is the one that we as coaches vote on, and to us,
right.
that's always that kid that, he probably comes off the bench, but whenever he does, he gives the best effort. But awards night just always crushed me.
So if that's not an example of a participation trophy, if it was, that's not an example of a participation trophy. If it was a team trophy. Help me understand what you feel a participation trophy is then.
Well, yeah, every kid just gets something, right?
Well, in that case, there were participation trophies back in the 70s. There were participation trophies back in the 80s. What they were T-shirts saying that you participated in this league.
Yeah, but you bought those. Well, you paid for the trophies too.
So. you see what I'm saying?
But I do understand Shayna's point in all of this, that when everyone got a trophy, they didn't need to work for a trophy. They didn't need to work. So I understand your point, and I've always kind of had issues with that. Give them.
I don't agree with it either. But what I'm saying is, instead of parents helping the child find the spotlight,
right,
they just gave it to them.
Well, and here's a perfect example. I've gone through, my children all growing up and moving away from home and starting their own families. And we put things together for them to take with us. And one of those for each of my kids is always a box of trophies. And they want nothing to do with them. Oh, I throw those away. I don't need those. Whatever we're trying to accomplish with participation trophies, it didn't accomplish anything positive.
Listen, I still have my 1977 trophy from a 1978 trophy from the YMCA basketball.
Yeah,
right. I still, hey, you walk into a high school, those trophies are still, we got it on a water tower.
As my grandson James was preparing to go to state track meet in the 800, I have a keychain that has my regional and state from junior year, regional and state from senior year gold medals all together in one ring. And I gave him those, as part of his mental preparation for the thing, for the state. And he went and ran a 158, 800 at state. And I just gave that connection. So I still have all of those medals, but, none of them were, I ran the race medal. They were.
Shannon says, weird. I never was presented with an algebra participation trophy. I don't know of anybody who was.
It's called it's called a job.
Yeah. Or
here's a job. This is your algebra participation.
Yeah. I've never heard of that. I mean, if you're in, now they call them a mathlete. So there are math competitions, right? Out there. I imagine that they have them now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we've worked a long way to get to believe, and I'd like to see what Damon K. Ross has to say.
Let's see what the old here we go. Oops, let me do that. Oops. Well, how do I?
He's one to the left.
The stream. There we go. It's time to believe.
To believe.
Let's see if I can get this to play.
folks. This is the Always Believe in You portion of the show of two bald guys and a microphone. And we are talking about lessons from the bench. Now, when they sent the title over to me, I looked it up and I'm like, okay, lessons from the bench. We're not into law, so clearly we're not talking about the judge's bench. And none of us are remotely close to being bodybuilders, so we're not talking about the bench press. But we're talking about a metaphorical term, lessons from the bench, meaning the bench in sports. So when you're on a sports team, as you all know, there are those that are on the field playing the game, participating. And then there are the reserves, the people who are on the team who are not in the game, they're sitting on the bench. So what are the lessons that we can learn from being one who sits on the bench? Now, taking that into generic terms, we can say that it could be you sitting on the sidelines watching other people do what it is you want to do. Maybe it's a project that you're involved with and you're not quite ready to do the work, so you're watching other people, or you want to get into a new field and you're watching other people. Maybe a scenario where you've already gotten out there a little bit, tested the waters, got into the semi-deep end and realized that I'm not quite ready, or there's some things that I need to work on and fix. And so you retreat and go back to the bench, sit back so you can watch the game. So speaking of games, you're probably wondering, why are you wearing that jersey? That is so unprofessional, Duman. This is the jersey that I wore when I was in college. This is the practice jersey that we had. So Kent is not the only one on the show that played college basketball. I played college basketball. And the interesting thing is that my freshman year, I was a part of a group that called ourselves the Bench Mob. Yes, we were the Bench Mob. And the reason we called ourselves the Bench Mob is because we spent a lot of time on the bench. Now, there were four of us who were the core of the Bench Mob. There were some other people who were, let's call them affiliates, but the official members of the Bench Mob was four of us: myself, Chad Holliday, James Fowler, and Tyler Klusny. And we sat at the end of the bench in that order. I sat closest to the rest of the players because I played pretty much every game. I think there were maybe 2 games that I didn't play my freshman year. The interesting thing is that at the beginning of the year, I played about 20 minutes a game. And then we came back from winter break, and second semester, I was playing 4 to 6 minutes a game. Don't know what happened. Water under the bridge. But the interesting thing is that I did learn some things while being a part of the Bench Mob. And one of the things, and probably the most important thing, is knowing your role. You have to know your role. And in other words, accept where you are. Accept your skills, accept your knowledge and understanding of things, because we all have a learning curve. So you want to understand your role, know where you are, and accept it. Now, when I say accept your role, that doesn't mean that you accept that position in life for the rest of your life. But it just means to understand where you are so you know what your next goal should be, what the next step should be. So you accept your role. And in accepting your role, you do what is necessary for said role. So our job as the Bench Mob was to come to practice and give the starters and those that played a lot the business. And trust me, we did that. Chad was the best at that. He would come to practice, especially if he was feeling good, and look at all those guys in the white jerseys. So we wore blue, and the other guys, they wore the white jerseys. And he would come in there and go, "It's going to be some victims today. It's going to be some victims today." And that meant whoever was guarding him was going to feel his presence and know he was in the gym that day. So we understood our role. We knew our role. Our role was to help make the starters and those that played a lot of minutes prepared every single time they stepped on the court. And that's what we did. And we did it with pride because we accepted our role. We knew what we were, who we were, and we knew what our purpose was. And that was all good. We understood that. So you want to do that in your lane as we talk about sitting on the bench and learning lessons from the bench. It's accepting where you are, who you are. But with that, having the discipline to do the things necessary to move forward or do whatever is required for your current situation. Now, as I said, we had to have the discipline knowing that we were going to get 0 to just a few minutes of playing time. And we weren't going to get the playing time, as I said. We weren't going to get the accolades. We weren't going to get the attention. We weren't going to get any of those things. But we still had to have the discipline to come to practice and be ready to do our job every single day, knowing that we weren't going to get all of the spoils. And we did that to the best of our abilities. And there were plenty of days where we gave the starters hell. And then coach would switch me and put me on their squad. And I was like, that's not fair. I want to beat them. I don't want to join them. But that was one of the things that we had to learn to do, is accept our role, understand where we were, who we were, and have the discipline to show up every day and do the work. Even though we weren't getting the results we wanted, which was game time and getting time in front of the fans and people getting to watch us and cheer us on during the meaningful parts of the game, we still had to have the discipline to come and do our jobs and practice like it was a game. Every practice was like a game, because that was our game. But we still had to have the discipline to have the right mindset to come and do that every single day. The other thing you can do, particularly so a person in my position, or maybe I'm talking to you, a person who was getting some game time, has had a little bit of action. So like I said, you could be the person that's thinking of working on a big project and you step out there a little bit, or something else, and you're doing a little bit of the work. Being on the bench, one of the lessons you can learn from the bench is observation and being able to watch what other people are doing. I had the privilege of being able to sit behind an All-American. He was a third team or honorable mention All-American in NAIA, which was the division that we played in. And I got an opportunity to sit and watch him, learn some things from him, but also learn some things that I shouldn't do, or things that got him into trouble that I could learn to avoid those pitfalls. And even playing against him every day, watching him, but also competing with him every day, watching his moves, and then knowing how to counter him and learning how to counter him. So there's the learning curve of what you can do from that position. And the other thing is just having humility. In my particular circumstance, I went to the college full ride. And there were only 4 people that got full scholarships at my school for basketball. And I was one of those 4. So coming there with a little bit of a, hey, I'm going to be the man here. I'm going to step in day one and take over this whole program. Well, that didn't quite happen. And that's okay. It allowed me to have some humility and understand that I didn't have all of the talent, all of the skills, all of the knowledge to be the best basketball player at that particular time. So there's plenty of things that you can learn from the bench. So I hope that was beneficial and helpful. I'm sure everything that Coach and Kent said was more than enough, but I look forward to sharing more with you for weeks to come. Hopefully this technology stuff keeps working for me. Hopefully this works, and I'm able to give you more nuggets that I have that may be slightly different, or just reiterating and reinforcing the things that you're hearing from Coach and Kent. So I'm Damon K. Ross, and please remember to keep striving, stay humble, be bold, and always believe in you. Till next time. Good morning, folks. This is
There you have it. Damon K. Ross, everybody. Good stuff. And I love what I absolutely love what Don says there. Words people use to describe greatness: driven, trustworthy, teammate, honest, respectful, enthusiastic, serving, dependable, positive. Anyone can choose to be these things and any part of those things, which is great. And Shayna jumps in and says, talent. is rarely an equality situation. Kids instinctively recognize a sense of fairness, and it sends mixed signals. And I think that was in regards to something that Damon had said. And we did it with pride. It's perfect. Yeah, I enjoy. I enjoy what he said. And again, depending on your terms of success, depending on your terms of or what your goals are, what your timeline is, you accept your position on the team, and you work hard. Right now, if your goal is to move up the ladder, move up the food chain, then absolutely. The idea then is you got to keep fighting hard. You don't rock the system, but you keep working towards your goals, but you accept your lot in life or where you're at. Just doesn't mean that that's your final resting place. And Shana says Aaron Rodgers could have something to say on the topic. Yeah. I mean, that guy sat behind Brett Favre for a long, long time. And learned. I use that situation a lot. When it comes to development of people and development of goals and people's strives. But just because you're not quote unquote in the game, you are in the game. If you're on the bench, whether you're a coach, a statistic player, whether you're the personal trainer, whether it is that you're a player, has to, you're in the game. You may not be on the floor, but you're in the game. Your energy, the energy that you expel, the energy that you give your teammates, you're absolutely in the game. I tell my kids all the time, like, listen, you will always have an advantage in basketball if your bench is loud, if your bench supports you, because that becomes like a sixth player out on the floor. And there's geese fly in a V, so that the ones in the back, can rest a little bit, draft off of them. But do you know why geese honk all the time? They honk, the ones behind the one at the front of the V who's cutting the wind, honk to encourage them to keep going. Keep going. You're doing great. And that's what you have to do if you're on the bench. It's one of the lessons you can learn is to honk and continue to do that. The theater reference is no small parts, only small actors. Yeah, I love that, and I agree with that 100%. Is that you have to give it your all, right? If you are just if you're just a stand-in or a fill-in, I don't know what they call it in the film industry, but you're basically a prop. Are you doing it great? It reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where Kramer was, and Kramer kept overacting. You certainly don't want to do that as well. Why is there always one part of the geese arrow that is larger than the other? Very simple, Don. I know that answer, and the answer is because there's more geese in that line. Thank you very much. It's a good dad joke. It's a good dad joke. Absolutely. And I think that's a huge part of what we do here at Two Bald Guys and a Microphone. Coach had to step out on an emergency call. He's fine. But listen, we've got to run. We hope that you enjoyed your Independence Day weekend. My wish for you is to take time to enjoy the lessons that you'll learn from the bench. Take time to step out of the game, maybe get a breather, get some water, and watch what happens. Because even the best people can find a way to learn lessons to help improve themselves, improve their team, when they're looking at it as an outside observer. For all of us here, 21.6 the net, we got to thank our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center. Give them a call, 815-385-8190. Check them out at www.mchenrymassage.com. Right behind me there on the television screen. And our good friends over at JH Events and Flowers. Remember, flowers can say so much that words can't. And $5 Fridays over there. Check them out at jheventsandflowers.com. For all of us here at 216 The Net, 216 Creator Studios. And thank you, Shayna. Have a great week. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Hump Day for two bald guys and a microphone.